Hi everyone, CK Master here, and I'm here today to do a quick talk about Mandragora patch 1.3. This came out yesterday, and the patch notes are a little tough to read, so I thought some people might like a quick summary of it. Um, I've done what I thought were like five of the big points here. I'm gonna go get into some of them though, but just for kind of framing this up. The first is that you get two free pets in this patch. So the developers, they just wanted to show everyone their appreciation, and they're giving everybody this for free. You can go turn those on in the settings for your game, and they'll follow you around. They've also adjusted some things to make the late game a little bit easier, but they have they've buffed melee, but they've nerfed magic. So my lightning ball build that I have out there might be a little less effective. I haven't seen by how much yet, but my Vanguard build will probably be better. Uh, so that's good. And I'm sure that there's adjustments that we can make to make these things work. Like we'll talk through some of that. Uh, Finally, they had a bit of a loot and crafting overhaul, making things easier to get, basically, which is good because things were hard to get before. And just a lot of bug fixes. They go into each of those. I'm not going to go into each of those. But if there's a bug that was really bothering you, maybe go look through the whole list and see if it was fixed. All right. With that said, let's get into some of the details here. So they posted the patch notes on Reddit. And the first couple of paragraphs is really just thanking you and telling you about the pet. These are the pets. You can see them. They look like just some, kind of cute little bugs that'll follow you around. I like this Plague Doctor armor, though. I don't think I had that. It looks cool. Okay. So those are the pets you'll get just for, playing the game. Hooray for everybody. Now, let's take a quick look at some of this other stuff. The first thing I was discussing was late game changes to some of the difficulty here. So we'll see that mostly here on this point. Reduce the health, resistances, and damage of the following late game enemies in Crimson City. So really it's Crimson City, and it's funny, I remember even during my last playthrough, the first thing I said when I got there was like, there's a big difficulty spike here. Like this place is quite a bit harder. So hopefully that just balanced some of that out. I mean, you still want it to be harder, I think, if you're a person who enjoys Souls likes, but not ridiculous. Um, to go along with that, they've done minor balancing, it says, on the following bosses: Matron Layla, Sleepwalker, Pyromancer, Entropic Worm. I'm guessing that means nerfs. It doesn't actually say. It could be nerfs, it could be buffs on some of them. It just says minor balancing. Um, so that's kind of hard to say for sure. But there also was some mini boss tuning. It's right above it. Okay. Um, so the Chthonic Stalkers, those were insane before, especially two of them, like the damage on those. And I know that those had to be nerfs because I think I've even seen the devs talking about nerfing those on the subreddit. Uh, Jotun, Forest Giant, Ravager, Wraith. I don't know if Wraith makes a ton of sense to nerf for me, but okay. Anyways, I believe those are mostly nerfs. I can't say for sure because the notes don't say, and I haven't had time to play through a whole new game to figure it out. All right. Um, so another thing that we were talking about here was changes to kind of melee um as well as magic. But let's start with melee. This will be really happy for all you Nightshade people. Lowered the stamina cost of several daggers. Looks like quite a few daggers, as well as a whole bunch of other one-handed weapons. So this is really good news for anyone who wasn't exclusively wasn't using like great swords or something before. That's really nice for anyone, especially because I know I've heard a lot of people complain about the nightshades, the rogues, um, just having a lot of issues. So that'll be very nice for them. Now, another thing here is they've adjusted a lot of talents in general. The blood craze talent, I believe that was under Vanguard, that heals you when bleeds tick. Um, they said that they've increased the healing and scaling of that. That's good because it was pretty worthless before. Um, so I'd like to see how much that scales now. That should be really interesting. I'm a huge fan of sustain, so I'll be excited if that talent's good on my Vanguard now. Very excited, actually. Um, and then right below this, actually, we can see some of this other stuff. Decrease the power scaling of Firebolt. So, little nerf to Pyromancers there, Flame Weavers. And as well as decrease the spirit scaling of Ball Lightning and slightly increase the mana cost and upgrade mana cost. So they just hit it on three fronts. I gotta say they must have watched my video. They saw that they were too strong. I really doubt that this kills the build. It probably just makes you consider your mana a little more. Um, and you might not be able to be quite as reckless as I was in some of my boss fights. If you watched my videos, some of them you would see that I would just stand there and tank the boss and not even have to think really. Um, it's probably actually good if they tapped it down a little from that. I'm sure it'll still be a good build and still be fun. It probably just won't be absurd like it was before. um to go along with some of this other stuff, there's more talents that were changed. These are hard to find. See, this is kind of why I'm doing this. These patch notes are all over the place and not grouped up very well. Um, they reduced the damage and scaling of the Eruptive Brambles talent. Okay. There we go. Of the Eruptive Brambles talent. I believe that's the one that just bursts at the end. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't expect that to be strong, or it seemed like it'd be hard to use, but okay. As well as the Unstable Burst talent. And slightly reduce the bonus of Essence Prism, Signet, and Devouring Shard. So we can see that there's just a lot of things here that they've been tapping down a bit. Let's talk a little bit about loot. So, the first thing that I think is really huge and just so exciting for me is the lockpicks. They've now made it so you can get additional lockpicks and wood from Gerald. Anyone who watched my Wild Warden playthrough, you saw me constantly fighting for my life for lockpicks. I was ultimately, I think, able to open every chest I came across. But if you didn't know to check back with him for lockpicks after you had turned in a map, I mean, it was right on the edge. And also, chances are that I've probably missed a few chests throughout the game. I mean, I think I had 97% map completion. I didn't have 100. So I probably missed a couple. And yeah, if I'm playing, then I definitely need more lockpicks for that. Now, the other cool thing here is, like I said, they kind of did a lot to help with crafting. So this one here, decrease the experience penalty when crafting some of the lower level diagrams at vendors. Um, this is something I was picking up on as I was doing my other playthrough, was like as soon as you unlock a diagram, you needed to start crafting it, or else if you leveled up the vendor with diagrams, then you would have no way of leveling them up, basically, because you weren't quite at the right level that you needed to be to craft new stuff, but the old stuff gave almost zero experience. So it was just impossible. So I'm really hoping that this kind of fixes that and makes crafting a lot more forgiving. Um, that was a big complaint that I did have with the game. It says that they also fixed a lot of issues with the sell and the buy price calculations. I don't know exactly what that means or how it's going to fix it. Hopefully, makes things cheaper. It seems like there were a couple things in here actually aimed at making things cheaper and better. Um, and also, there was apparently an issue with vendor cart upgrades not providing their bonuses. Hard to say. I don't think I ran into that. Yeah. I actually wasn't upgrading my vendor carts at all because I was just using everything to actually do the crafting. Um, the upgrades don't seem that worth it, you know. Maybe they will be, but mostly they just give you extra drop chances on stuff, but they use up so much that it's kind of like, well, I can just not do it and probably come out ahead. While I'm kind of thinking about vendors, talking about vendors, it's got me thinking about gold a little bit. Um, they increased the gold gain from bounty quests, so just another nice thing there. That's pretty good. Making sure I catch everything. So, actually, just this one beneath it is pretty interesting. If I can not go back. Reduce the weight of several chest items, mercenary bronze, all these. That'll be real nice for vanguards or just anyone who wants to wear heavy armor, really, which I like. Uh, but then they did something interesting because they didn't include hollow plate there. They said fixed the weight of the hollow plate chest item. I'm wondering if they increased it because hollow plate did seem pretty light for what it was. Um, and I just haven't confirmed that yet, but I'm kind of guessing that they probably increased it. Uh, Here's one thing that I actually maybe should have put a whole bullet point around. This could have been huge. Uh, Reduce the retalent cost drastically. Great change. Before it was like impossible to respec. More than a couple times at least, because you know it would go from 0 to 2,500 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000 to I don't know how much further up it went. Um, I'm looking forward to this. One thing that I read from the devs before was that they were planning to uh, actually make it so that you could respec your skill upgrades as well. You know, right now you can't refund those when when you do a skill. I don't see that in here anywhere. So I'm guessing that they didn't get it into this patch, which makes sense. It seems like more of a make things nicer, fix things patch rather than add brand new functionality. Um, but I'm looking forward to that coming. The other thing I maybe could have mentioned right up front, but the New Game Plus did not come in this patch. They said that they're still working hard on it, so hopefully we get it out soon. The devs seem very engaged, very responsive. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing more on what they can do and what gets added to the game. All right, that's all for this. Thank you for watching, and if you found this helpful, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel and maybe watch some other videos. Have a good day, night, whenever you're watching. Thank you.